long, long time. What do they say? Long time listener, first time caller. This will be long time friend. First time on a live event, webinar, podcast, whatever you want to call it. Really excited to have this one going here today for Giving Days. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce our guest today, Mr. John Hornby. He's at the University of Delaware, Assistant Director of Digital Marketing. Really excited to have him on today here with us at E-Team Sponsor. Excuse me, to talk about why Giving Days matter. I know John is a future or a former e-teamer, and as like we like to say here, once an e-teamer, always an e-teamer.
You got
Joined
it.
University of Delaware Advancement, back in 2016, John? I get that
Yeah,
right?
it'll be 10 years next spring. Yep.
10 years, man. Gosh, time flies.
Crazy. Yeah.
10 years. We were happy to have him for the time that we did, and I know he's been doing some great things at the University of Delaware, and that's really what we're excited to have him on here today and share a little bit more about what's been working for him there. And we know Giving Days are right around the corner. Everything from Giving Tuesday coming up, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and then as we roll into the spring, when it seems like just about everybody does their Giving Days. I know, John, that's when University of Delaware runs theirs, so we're excited to dive in with you. Just
Yep.
real quick, kind of a quick update for some of you. If you've never been on an E-Team sponsor live event before, we'll give you a quick little background on who we are and what we do, and then we'll dive on into today's content. As always, feel free to jump in. We want to make this as engaging as we possibly can. Feel free to hop into the chat if you've got anything that you'd like us to discuss, questions, things you came into today with wanting to get addressed or accomplished. Please let us know. Drop that in the chat. Be happy to do that. Uh, I'll do a quick introduction here myself. I'm Sean Connors, co-founder and CEO with E-Team Sponsor. Coming to you live from our headquarters in the tech epicenter of the world, the San Francisco Bay Area. This has been a milestone month for us already here in October, getting into year 16 as a company, which is really exciting. But really, for over the last decade, we've helped a lot of educational institutions from high schools all the way up to schools like John's um, raise hundreds of millions of dollars. We're really proud of that, but we're really excited about what we're unveiling and working on here into the future. We've rolled out our Giving Day module, which will allow educational institutions, like I said, from the high school level through college, to really find a better way to run their giving days. We've heard from advancement and development leaders. They've been asking for a more all-inclusive, automated, streamlined giving day experience, and so we're really excited to unite that fundraising, donor engagement, data management all under one roof. And we feel really good about what we're bringing to market. So. We'll leave plenty of time here at the end to answer any of those types of technical questions or how we do those things. But like I said, today we really wanted to dive in with Mr. Hornby here and cover anything and everything we can as it relates to Giving Day. Sound like a plan, John?
Absolutely, man. I am honored to be here to join you guys. Love you and your team and all that you guys have been doing over the last 16 years. So I'm excited to jump in here and help
Oh
some of
man.
your guests that are online today.
Well, and hopefully there's a lot of first timers in terms of jumping into Giving Days, and I think that's something that John, I've always appreciated about you. Obviously, you had kind of these two career paths, right?
Yes,
You
I
did
have.
you did everything with J&J and in that world, and then joined us and got into more of the philanthropic side of things and fundraising and now Giving Days. But I know you're a coach at heart, so we'll
Yes, I
tap into
am.
those. We'll tap into those coaching qualities today to help people get a really good, solid foundation as to how we kick these things off. So,
Excellent.
um, the first place I'd like to jump in is and really just go to, hey, you guys just came off of $1 million Giving Day back in the spring. Um, I guess first question I'd like to open up to is just why do Giving Days matter to Delaware, and why should Giving Days matter to educational institutions across the country, including the folks that are on today?
Yeah, great way to start this off. And I assume that the folks that are on are already familiar with crowdfunding. They're already familiar with E-Team Sponsor, and they're just looking to take that next step into Giving Days. Or there could be a few that have dabbled in Giving Days and are just looking for additional support and services to get, to continue to grow that. And I'll tell you what, Sean, I have been here for 10 years building our crowdfunding expertise and our giving days has been a journey. I mean, it's kind of daunting to think about it if you're a newbie and you've never done a giving day, but give yourself some grace and just know it's a learning process. Like, there's no right or wrong. It's just a learning process. Our first giving day was 8 years ago, so this spring will be number nine. And you're right, we've built it up to about $1 million, averaging about $1 million during our spring giving day. There's a lot that goes into that, most of it, which is just the planning and preparation. Just like a good team has to create a good game plan, you're going to have to do the same thing. But the opportunity for everybody that's on is huge. It really is, because this is an opportunity to not only leverage technology and a really great, robust platform like yours to really grow and capture donors that they may not have access to before. Like, we have found that our crowdfunding, especially our giving days, is where that's where we acquire most of our new donors. So it's building a new pipeline of people that uh, raise their hand and make a gift during a giving day. So and in general, it's just a great chance to really increase your overall fundraising dollars in a very short window, right? Whether it's a week-long event or a one-day, 24-hour event, you can really blow things up. So a lot of great opportunity for everybody. If you haven't gone there, it's a process.
Yeah, and I think that's a good place for us to jump off at. I mean, I think so many people that we talk to when it comes to giving days, it's the old stuck on start. They're like, yeah, this sounds great, but I have no idea where to even start.
Yeah.
And so really today's goal, John and I talked about this before, we want to demystify giving days, right?
Hmm.
This isn't some mystery or really anything that's uber complicated. Hopefully we can give you a clear playbook for success today. And I think the conversation with John will definitely get us going there. So let's jump in, just I'd say kind of the core elements of a successful giving day, as we look at maybe saying, hey, there's these five building blocks
Yep.
to creating a successful giving day. What would you say are the five key elements?
Yeah, so first and foremost is planning ahead of time. Like, start early, right? I would say 6 months prior to your giving day, that's when you really need to start, building out your processes and everything that goes into executing your giving day. So start early. Um, Gather a team of people that can help you. I recognize, like, every department is a different size. You may be a department of one, or you may have 10 people, right? You just have to, and if you only are one, you may need to grab some volunteers to help you to execute this. So start planning early, develop or build a team that can help you. Um, Make sure you are using a reliable, robust platform, crowdfunding platform similar to what eTeam offers. Um, your communication and marketing plan is number four. Like, there's a lot that goes into this. Now, a platform like eTeam Sponsors offers a lot of automation, which is outstanding, and some workflow that you'll eventually see when they do that next seminar. But your own marketing and communication channel internally and externally. So you have to get buy-in internally with your campus. Make sure, like, if they've never done a giving day, this is new to them too. So you have to educate them on why we're doing this, why it's important, generate the excitement, and it's got to have a lead up. So if you're starting 6 months before your event, you've got time to start letting people on campus know. And then clearly, you've got the external audience, which is all your wonderful alumni, parents, and friends who you're going to have to reach out to. And then lastly is just the follow-up, the stewardship, right? And making sure you don't thank your donors properly. So that's the simplest way I can see it, those five buckets.
Yeah, that's good start. And I think, one of the things that really we've seen be a part of very successful planning, so where you're not stuck on start,
Yeah,
is really digging in, like you said, it's understanding who are the key stakeholders that you
yeah,
can bring into your team. And I think
right.
one element of your keys to getting that off the ground is really the why. It's developing or generating what that why statement's going to be.
Yeah.
Um, And I know that's you get the buy-in, you get the team on board, all collectively rowing in the same direction when that why is very clear, how we're going to get this done. Yeah, that's a great place to start.
Yeah,
Um,
and let me just throw this in there too for
sure.
those that are stuck on start and maybe a little intimidated. When we started this 8 years ago, it was three of us and an Excel spreadsheet, right? Like that's how we started this. We had a
Love it.
platform. I can't even remember what platform we used back then, but we did not know what we were doing because it was relatively new to us.
Yeah.
Now, I had some exposure to crowdfunding thanks to my time with eTeam Sponsor, but yeah, we started very rudimentary, just three of us, and I think we maybe had 35 projects for that first giving day, and I can't remember what we raised, but it was probably less than $30,000, right? Which may be a lot to some people, but over the last 8 years, we have developed our processes and our marketing plan, and been able to grow it. I think we ended with over 200 individual fundraising projects last spring. So again, pace
30 to
yourself.
200. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So yeah, so it's but don't be intimidated. Just you got to start somewhere and
Yeah.
start small.
Yeah, no, that's
It's
great.
okay.
Great point. Great point. Great point. One of the things that we often hear as part of the planning process, and here at Team Sponsor, we have an 8-step process and workflow, like John talked about, and the furthest out in front you can get, the better, right? So for those
Hmm.
of you that might be going 6 months, oh my gosh, I'd like to do
Right.
something for Giving Tuesday. Doesn't mean you
Right.
still can't. You absolutely
Correct.
can. And especially as long as it's in line with realistic expectations, I think that's really
Hmm.
important as well. But one of the things we hear often very early on in our discovery calls with either clients or non-clients wanting to run a giving day is, when is the best timing for giving day,
Yeah.
right? Like, is it in the fall during homecoming? Is it Giving Tuesday? Is it the holidays when people are trying to do things before tax year end? Do they do it in the spring? John, what have you seen be the best timing for a giving day?
So I think you laid it out well. It's going to be different for every organization. We started with Giving Tuesday. I think that was our first dabbling into it, and then we realized we need to build this and grow this. So we decided, instead of competing with every other nonprofit during Giving Tuesday, we decided we were going to create our own UD campus-wide Giving Day in the spring. So for the last 8 years, we've been doing Giving Tuesday, which is always the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and we do one that typically falls sometimes in May, right? But that doesn't mean that those are the optimal times. There might be a reason to do it around homecoming in the fall, right? Or mid-December to late December to capture those last year-end donors that want to get their tax write-off. Um, here's an ironic thing with the fact I've talked to many different folks who are doing giving days, and some of them have realized like it's getting to be a heavy lift to do two of these in one year.
Yeah.
So some of them are actually scaling back and doing one and putting all their resources into one.
Yeah.
We tend to focus mostly on our spring giving day, and there's a variety of reasons for that we can get into. But whether you do one or two, it really depends on what your bandwidth is and what your objectives and your goals are. I don't think there's a perfect time to do it. It's really, you have to look at your own academic calendar, your own sports calendar, your own, other events like homecoming, et cetera, and just pick a day where you're not overlapping with a lot of other things that are going on campus that will take the attention away from what you're trying to do.
Great point. Really great point. And I think one of the things we've talked about a lot, John, over the years, right, has been, if you're a first timer, right, what do I need to know the first time I'm running it, right? Like, it's one thing to say, what's my plan? Sure,
Yeah.
start early, build
Yeah.
that buy-in, share the why, make sure we're clear on the goals, sure. But what's that? What's the pitfall? What's the mistake I need to avoid as well? What do first timers need to know before they run one?
So I think, especially for a first timer, be careful you don't bite off more than you can chew, right? Like if you're going to publicize this and make promises to your wider campus audience and then start promoting it to your alumni, um, you have to make sure you can actually execute and follow through and actually deliver on what you promise. So starting small is not a bad idea. If you just target, like, we're just going to do a Giving Tuesday this fall, which is only, what, 8 weeks away or less, and we're just going to pick 5 projects, and we're going to use, your platform to do that. That's a great start, right? Um, and again, it's just don't bite off more than you can chew. And you'll know what that is based on what resources you have at your exposure or at your institution. That's probably the biggest pitfall is just, it'll grow over time if you just put some time and effort into it. So start small and grow from there.
And in terms of like just thinking back to your first giving day there at UD, and you guys did, like you said, 30,000 or whatever the number was. I guess that's
Yeah.
inconsequential at this point. It's just more of, was there something that you took from that very first giving day and it stuck with you all the way through these last eight, now heading into year nine? Is there anything you could think back to, like, man, I'm glad I learned that with our
Hmm.
first one. It's helped me plan as we move forward.
Um, I think the number one thing that we have discovered over time is that the communication has to be clear, concise, and timely, right?
Yeah.
Across the board. And primarily because you're trying to recruit folks on campus to consider using the platform to create a project. So first you got to recruit the folks, so you have to communicate really well to them. You got to and then you have to communicate really well to your donor base and the folks that you want to actually open up their wallets on giving day. So communication is probably the thing that we have continued to tweak and hone and really emphasize doing it better every single year. And there's, multi-channel approaches to doing that. Everybody knows what those are. Um, the other thing I think that we just learned this past year, which I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but um, we had a unique experience this past year where there was a tragedy on campus about 2 days prior to our giving day, and we
Right.
had to pause everything out of respect for the families that were going through this. So we did not have like a crisis plan at the time, but we do now because that was just something that we had never considered. We weren't worried about the platform. We knew that was solid, but we had to pivot really quickly and shut everything down. And that again was like, if we will always have a crisis plan now just because you just never know what can pop up on your giving day.
Yeah, communications are so important. We say here often it's when you confuse, you lose. And
Yep.
so if you can keep your messaging, we like to call it cogent, clear,
Yep.
concise, and compelling,
Yep.
you can put yourself in a pretty good position. And yeah, I know you guys have leaned into that as well. Um, Getting into just kind of again lessons learned, and you talked a little bit about your first giving day. Have you had any the memorable moment with regards to maybe a donor or a gift or a challenge, a match, something as it relates to that memorable donor moment?
So the interesting thing is, I don't think there's just one memorable moment. The really cool thing that we've experienced is that our giving days have continued to build on themselves, not as a result of us being great at what we do, although I'd love to pat our team on the back for that. It's because the donors get excited. They see the momentum that's happening on the giving day, and they can see the number on your screen rising through the day, and they get jazzed about that. And then what happens is they tend to start getting more involved in other ways. When it comes to challenges and matches, I know we'll talk about that. I think the coolest thing we've seen is that some major donors have come to us and said, "Hey, I'd like to make a gift, but I want to wait until your giving day so I can use it as a match or a challenge to try to incentivize others to give to something that I care about." So that's been a really cool thing to watch, the impact it's had on some of our major donors.
Love that. Love that. And maybe you could kind of come full circle with the first giving day experience that you had and what it was like running it. It's one thing to say, hey, this is what I've taken and learned from
Yeah.
the first one. It's these are the memorable donor moments or that the concept of a giving day and having somebody align a otherwise would be considered maybe a major gift or a, whatever that is constituted there in the on each campus. But seeing somebody be engaged in a way through the giving day that now it delivers some big impact.
Yep.
Um, what would you say, looking back on it now, what was it like running your first giving day? And especially for those that are trying to look at running their first one, was there anything that really stuck out to you from the actual day itself? Oh, John, I think we lost your audio.
Well,
Oh, there we go. Now you're back.
to me.
Yep.
So first thing I would say is I kind of have to laugh and chuckle about the fact that we started with three people in a spreadsheet, right? And then we had a platform that we could use. We really didn't know what we were doing per se. We had a general idea, but we were just kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what would stick. I think we started with we honestly we had 35 projects at the time. So even our campus really didn't know what is this thing these guys are trying to launch, a giving day? We're grateful that we had 35 projects because it gave us a place to start.
And John,
Um,
real quick, if we can, just the projects, breaking that down. So that's like there's one project could be like the School of Engineering, the School of
Correct.
Arts and Sciences, the school, athletics or whatever.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. So I couldn't tell you what the makeup of those original
sure. Yeah.
35 projects were clearly, but yes, now that we've gotten established and we've communicated across campus and we've executed 7 or 8 years of this. Now most campus partners know what to expect, and most of them are willing to, like, yeah, I want to be involved. That's a great opportunity for my unit to raise money. And yes, it includes all of our Division 1 athletic teams. So there's like 22 projects right there. Generally speaking, our club sports always jumps in as well, and there's another 20 or 30 projects for our club sport athletes. Then you go to the individual colleges, and we have eight or I think we have nine of them now at the University of Delaware, including engineering, arts and sciences, etc. And typically, the deans will help us communicate to their chairs and their faculty, and they'll say, "Hey, if you have a project that you need to fund, whether it's research or scholarship or a project that, or even a capital project where you need new technology or a new building or something." Um, it really has become a campus-wide thing, not just an athletic thing.
Cool. Love that. Love that. Well, and I think that's a common misconception too, that, and this gets into just, I think, the firsthand experiences. I mean, I'm sure everyone here, you went to college and you got an alma mater. You've got an alma
Yeah.
mater that's running a giving day right now, so you're being solicited to,
Yep.
uh, believe in the G Day for me and my fellow alums from UNC Greensboro. We get it's February 12th. I know the date. I know everything. We get every message leading up to it.
Yeah.
But being an athletic alumni, all the messaging that I receive is tied to that, right? So they do a tremendous job, and I think it's important to kind of provide that context because you talked about how important communication and messaging is.
Yeah.
I think it's important maybe to share a little bit more of that we're not sending out one mass message to everybody to one to blanket your entire, whether it's donor base or potential supporters of the institution. Being able to segment your communication based upon who these people are really deepens the affinity factor, and I think increases the likelihood that they're going to give. I know when I used to get it and I wasn't included in athletic alumni solicitations, not to say I wasn't into it. Sure, I want
Yeah.
to see my alma mater do well. But the minute they started tying that back in and that, hey, your gift's going to go towards these things improving in the athletic department, well, now you you got me.
Yeah.
So,
Totally. I'm sure everybody on the call today understands the importance of personalized outreach, right? Whether it's face to face or through email or text or social media, the more personalized you can be with your outreach, the better, to your point, Sean. And knowing what Sean or Anya or Tyler cares about on campus, right? That's another thing. At first, I don't think we really approached it that way, but we have. Like all of our communication now. And let me break it down this way, though. Whether you start with 30 projects or 200 projects, the challenge that I have at the University of Delaware is our team, our 12-person team, we do all the mass marketing on behalf of our giving day to all of our audiences. But those 30 projects or those 200 projects, they know that they've got skin in the game. They have to promote their own individual project through text messages, social media, and emails. So they have skin in the game. They have to do it, but it's a manual process, Sean.
Yeah.
That's where there is a point of differentiation in platforms. If you find a platform that does a lot of the automating and the project leaders can put in their donor list and have it personalized and have that outreach automated, like that is huge. We would love to get to that point.
Yeah.
But last point on the personalization. After a few years of doing this now, we have a very robust database that we know what each donor has given to in the past. Now we, in our mass marketing, we can send out tailored emails. Hey, last year, Sean, you gave to the baseball fund, and Giving Day is coming up again. We would love to see your support. This is what we're trying to achieve, and your impact will mean a lot. So it just continues to grow on it if you have the resources to start
And
doing
that's
it
why it's
that
so
way.
important. I think I'm glad you contextualize that even further because I think it is important for everyone to know. Look, just getting started is so important because 8 years will go by like that. And next
Yep.
thing you know, you're 10xing the number of projects that you've been working
Yeah.
with, and you're raising a lot more money. But you got to start somewhere, get people excited about it, and again, you don't have to. I think as you've outlined, it doesn't need to be uber complicated to start,
No,
and just get it going. You're building value, future
absolutely.
value for your institution and these departments and projects or schools or departments by just simply, getting people into the habit of I'm going to be hearing from XYZ school every year as it relates to their
Right.
day, which is great. So,
Yep.
a couple other questions on the just firsthand experiences and the lessons that you've learned to share with people. Just is there a common best practice that you don't necessarily agree with? Maybe you see your peers at other institutions, you
Uh,
heard at a case conference or something like that, and you're like, yeah, my experience
yeah.
isn't necessarily that.
Yeah. I would say if at all possible, and this is a generalized comment, like try not to just mass market the heck out of this. Like try to isolate your audiences and not isolate them, but
Segment.
segment your audiences so that you are speaking more the language that they're interested in hearing instead of just doing a mass, hey, the University of Delaware is doing a giving day. That's just not inspiring or compelling. So
Yeah.
I would stay away if you can from doing the general mass email marketing and be as tailored and personalized and project specific as you can.
Yeah. Love it.
Again,
Yeah, and I think we've seen that too. A lot of successful, event-driven campaigns, giving days that we've been a part of in the past. It's the affinity factor is important. The
yep.
segmentation is important. Um, and I think especially for those of you that are in a small shop, might be the
Mhm.
one-man band trying to play all 17 different instruments for your
Yeah.
first giving day. Um, Automation's important. We recognize that. We understand that. That's a hallmark of our platform. So for those of you that are looking for that automated, you know, opportunity, uh, as we like to say, do more with more.
Yeah.
Do more with more of the technology that we can empower you with. Take advantage of it. And segmenting that donor base is really important. Um, let's turn our attention to really just like so we've talked about, some of the strategies or the key elements to getting it started. You've talked a little bit about your experience in it. Um, Participation and urgency. How do you get people to participate? Because it's one thing, like you said, hey, you cast this wide net, you send it to all your donors or potential supporters, you let them know about the giving day. All right, then you segment it and you send them some, some crafted messaging that hopefully really tugs on the heartstrings, and the affinity factor kicks in. That's to donate. What about the people to get the word out? How do you get more
Yes.
people to participate? How do you create that sense of urgency? Talk us through just kind of generally how you at Delaware
Yeah,
approach
so if I can remember at first, it was just us. It was just a small group of us trying to spread the word. And then we realized, okay, we need the project leaders to have skin in the game, and we need a platform that's also going to help amplify and extend the reach. We needed to
Oh, Johnny, I think we lost your audio again.
Why
Here,
does it keep doing that? Can you hear
there
me
you go.
now?
There we go. Yep, now we got you. You're back.
Very strange. Um, all right, I'll repeat myself. I think in the very beginning, when we started 8 years ago, we were trying to spread the word all by ourselves, and then we quickly learned like, oh, we need to uh, kind of pivot and have the project leaders also spread the word on their behalf of their individual project. And then on top of that, we realized it will also serve them well if they can recruit ambassadors, whether it be other peers and colleagues or students that are involved in their particular program to, again, spread the message, extend the reach. And I think that was really a big learning for us was to like, we got to get these folks to understand that they need to participate by spreading the message and by reaching out to the people in their own network of friends and family. So, if you have a platform that does that, which eTeam Sponsor does really well, that will really benefit the whole Giving Day experience.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. And then, we talk so challenges, matches, scoreboards, kind of that the competitive nature that you can draw
Yeah,
from just about everybody. But also the sense of being a part of something that's successful, right? Maybe
yeah,
we could unpack that a little bit. How have you incorporated challenges, pitting projects against each other? How have you brought in, like you talked about earlier, maybe somebody who's typically been an annual donor or major gift, and had them be a part of a match once a certain project reaches a number? How have
yeah,
scoreboards, kind of that live, hey, how are we tracking? How have you
yeah.
incorporated those into your strategy?
So first and foremost, the scoreboard and the tracking or the thermometer, whatever you want to call it, on the platform itself is a huge motivator for people. Throughout the day. They can come back real time and see the dollars and the donors continue to rise, which I think is an important piece of a good platform. Um, the thing that we have discovered that really gets the project leaders and the potential donors excited is when we provide challenge funds or matching funds. And in fact, Sean, we have kind of reduced the significance of our challenges and matches during the Fall Giving Tuesday and asked all of our potential donors to consider uh, signing up for helping us with matches and challenges in the spring, which is
Nice.
why our Spring Giving Day is so much more successful because there is now all what we call bonus money for the projects to try to compete for and be awarded basically for their efforts.
Yeah.
Now, there are many different versions of that. I'm happy at some point you can share some examples with you guys and you can forward them on to your to your clients here. But like a basic donor challenge would be, um, and we do these things called power hours, and it's a lot of fun because now our audience knows that there's 4 or 5 hours throughout the day where we will allow everybody to try to capture some additional bonus money. By like for instance, here's one right here. Between the hours of 8 and 9 p.m., we're going to award the projects with the most donors during that 60-minute period, and we're going to split it up to a first, second, and third, so almost like a leaderboard. Whoever gets the most donors in that hour is going to get $2,500. The second most is another thousand, and the third is whatever the balance is, right? So that's an incentive. The donors get excited about it, and there's a leaderboard so that they can compete, and we get a kick out of it because we have this little command center that we operate during that day, and we can watch them battling it out in real time. Like, oh, they've got 35 donors, they got 36. Who's going to win the hour? So, but so there are challenges. There are also matches. For example, we have some generous donors will say, listen, I'd like to honor my late husband by doing a one-to-one match up to a total of $5,000. I'm willing to give a $5,000 check is if you set up a match for my particular scholarship project. So if the platform can track that and the donors can see that there's additional bonus money to be had. Again, it's just a way to uh,
So
build and grow the press.
for an example, we'll use that one, the scholarship. We'll just say, hey, this donor, maybe a part of a planned giving scenario with your
Yep,
institution says, hey, we've got this annual $5,000 scholarship. This year, we're willing to donate an additional 5,000. So as long as that scholarship fund that people are donating on behalf of, once it reaches 5,000, it'll unlock this additional
correct.
$5,000 match that we'll cut a check to.
Correct. There are a variety of different ways. You could do a 2-to-1 match, a 1-to-1 match.
Cool.
You can do dollar challenges and you can do donor challenges. For instance, I'll give you another one like our football challenge. It was for every 50 donors. So as the ticker keeps going up and the counter keeps going up and you reach 50 donors, it's going to unlock $2,500 for that project, up to a total of say $10,000. So every 50 donors that makes a gift, the football program is going to get another $2,500.
That's
And
cool.
then when we reach 100, and so there's many different ways to incentivize and build some excitement during the giving day.
I
Now,
love
the tricky part is finding that discretionary money, right? So
it. Sure.
we um we have had the good fortune of having a board of trustees who were willing to put forward some nice gifts towards these matches. At one time, we had our own president. He had a slush fund budget, I guess, that he was able to like, sure, we'll do a presidential challenge and try to build some student scholarships. And we also have individual donors who we go to and ask them like, hey, we know how passionate you are about this particular project. We think you were willing to, or would you be willing to put up a little bit of money for our giving day to help incentivize others to give to this project? So
Yeah.
it's
And
not,
spend a little money to make a little more.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
So
no,
again, you have to
love it.
work at it, but it'll grow because another thing that happens as we've seen is like as this has evolved is that donors will be like, wait a minute, how did that project do a challenge? Like, explain this to me.
I
So
want to do that with this project next year. Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that works.
I think it's a good one, and we're gosh, think about it. In 16 years, we've seen a lot of fundraising or giving, type events around a number of different things. But I remember one, we had a private Catholic high school. It was actually out here in California, and they speaking, similarly to what you just outlined, it wasn't a dollar amount that the
Hmm.
match was tied to. It was tied to the number of donations.
Yeah.
Um, and what they wanted was unique donors.
Yep.
So they said, we want 500 unique donors. If we do, we've got a 500, I think it was a half a million. So I think it was a
Oh,
half a million
wow.
dollar, $500,000 match. So as long as they got 500 unique
Correct.
donors.
Correct.
So I mean, you have conversations with your donor base, right? This is
Yep.
the engagement aspect of it. We'll get to stewardship in a minute, but
Yeah.
when you have those types of relationships, and I get it, there are some schools that don't have that. You're starting
Right.
from a place of literally ground zero. Totally
Yep.
understand that. Um, but again, if you start this and you believe in it and you stick with it, years down the road, you're gonna put yourself in a position to
Hmm.
unlock that opportunity.
Correct.
You're gonna be able to have that conversation with somebody along the way. So,
100%. Because the
yeah,
first couple years, Sean, we had to really search far and wide to find some people to do challenges. But now it's a challenge every year. But now more people are aware of what we're doing and the
yeah,
impact that it's having, and they're more willing to, yeah, let's sign up for that.
I love that. I love that. Cool. Let's see, peer-to-peer. That's a big one.
Yeah. Yep.
Peer-to-peer, in terms of, again, maximizing participation, creating urgency, and then social media, which I know that's near and dear to you, or both of these are. But
Yep.
yeah, talk me through some of the peer-to-peer strategies as well as maybe some of the social media strategies you guys have implemented.
Yeah. So we use all of the familiar social media channels, and however, we have to encourage our project leaders and our ambassadors to do that on behalf of their individual projects.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned, the platform that we're using does not have that automated feature, right? It's got a link so that the project leader can grab their individual link for their individual project. But it's up to them to put it into Facebook or Instagram or you know, whatever, LinkedIn, whatever social media. So it's sort of a shortcoming that we fight. It's a little bit of an uphill battle, but you have to do it. And um, I believe E-Team sponsors platform, the automation there is probably what another thing that sets you guys apart. But it's critically important. You have to just spread the message far and wide. You just never know who's going to see that link and click the link and then make a gift.
And
So
again, the affinity factor, I think that's where it becomes so important, right? It's one thing to, and I'm sure, I mean, I don't know that you have these, statistics off the top of your head, but I think we've seen enough of them at this point that the affinity factor goes so far, right? Like when nothing against university advancement, if any of you are on the call or foundation, but when you ask for a general, unrestricted gift,
yeah,
I'm sure it's a much lower percentage return, right, than there is when it's, hey, specific, there's an affinity there, maybe a one-to-one relationship, or once removed, rather.
yeah,
That is important. So those social media strategies, we know absolutely play a
they
pivotal
absolutely
role in
do.
not just getting the message out, but it's also okay. And that might be they've seen the general solicitation, they've seen a lot of things out there, but now they get that one-to-one, or should the person who's leading that project in our system, we call them advocates,
Yep.
but an advocate might even direct message somebody in a social media application that they're connected with somebody else on, say, hey, by the way, check this out, or hey, we'd love for
Yes.
you to
Yes.
participate, donate, whatever. That it's like you said, it's whether it's automated or not, it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely is. And you're right. If it's coming from a friend, you're A, going to trust them and be like, I want to support this guy.
Text
So,
messages,
yeah.
I know this number from us, 98% of our text messages are opened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
somebody gets a text message with, hey, check this out. Pretty good chance they're going to open it. And then whatever happens from there is obviously up
Yeah,
to the
and I'll just throw this in there as well, and I'm sure everybody on the call knows this, but having a mobile friendly platform during giving day is so important, not
very
just to receive a text message or a social media post, but to actually make the gift, right? Like, and to be able to incorporate digital wallets so they can use whatever form of payment they want to. So those are key.
We've seen that. I mean, I think look, I think like you said, it's digital wallet, being able to have Apple Pay, Google Pay.
Yep.
Our preferred payment processor is Stripe, who's, they're the creme de la creme, they're the best.
Yep.
So yeah, make it, we like to say internally, make it ridiculously easy to donate.
Yes. Yes.
We're
Yes.
frictionless. It's
Yep.
is what we're focused on. So cool. And then just real quick, brief mention on stewardship. I know
Yep.
that's maybe a term that for maybe some that aren't necessarily on the advancement development or foundation side, but are a part of a relationship with the donor. Maybe just talk a little bit
Mhm.
about how important stewardship is the day after the giving day.
Yeah. So there's the day of and the day after. The
Yeah.
day of is like as soon as that person makes that frictionless, easy, simple gift, whether it's $5 or $500, they're going to get an immediate confirmation. It's been processed. Here's your tax receipt, and thank you so much for giving, right? And try to make it specific, personalized, and specific to the project that they just gave to, not a generic one.
Yeah.
The follow-up, the post-event follow-up is important as well. And if you have the ability to encourage each individual project to do their own individual thank outreach, I would encourage you guys to do that. We hold our donor data very closely to our chest. I mean, it's confidential, and we don't want to like just give it to anybody.
Sure.
We tend to require our project leaders, faculty, and staff to sign a little confidentiality agreement, and then we provide them with the actual list of donors. We just give them like name, email address, and the amount they gave, I think is all we give them. So very little, but just enough where they can do the outreach on their own, and we encourage them to do that. We give them examples because, again, we didn't talk about toolkits, but if you can give them examples of how to write that thank you note, And that would be really helpful. Again, it's because we don't have an automated process in place to do that. So we're really encouraging them to do that. So it's a little bit of training. Now, we can't say that we get 100% of our project leaders to do the thanking, but those that have good manners and really are, grateful for their support, they do the outreach. And we do in a more universal way. Um, and at the end of the day, like after 2 or 3 days, when all of our results are in, we do a mass email that just promotes like, thank you everybody for participating. We raised, you know, $500,000 during our giving day, um, and just show the gratitude in that way as well.
That final update, so important. Yeah,
Yeah.
two things I would mention there that I think you brought up that are really important. First timers, or those of you that have been doing as long as John or longer. Um, Stewardship is so important.
Hmm.
And I think for those of you that are starting for the first time, what do they say? There's only one shot at making a first impression. You get
Yeah.
one shot at making a first impression. That analogy is so, or moniker is so true when it comes to this, especially during your first giving day. And that's why we believe so much in automation. That's why we're investing so much in AI. Like we get it. Most
Yep.
people probably on this call are the one-man band playing 17
Right.
different instruments, trying to run a giving day, or have been with a small shop. Um, as much automation as you can build into it that really helps with the stewardship. There's nothing better than picking up the phone and making a phone call and connecting with somebody. Nothing will ever replace that. But that's why we've doubled down on it. I mean, we
Yeah.
invest so much in this. We have since day one, and we've seen the benefits. We've seen even in our peer-to-peer campaigns, not even event-driven campaigns or giving days, it's that the donor, that immediate like, oh, great, thank you. Um, the custom messaging that you can upload ahead of time, the automated prompts. Hey, you should have it say this on the way out. Sending something a couple days after that promotes more of that stewardship. Again, not so that you don't have to, but if you don't get to it right away, don't worry, you're covered. Um, and like you said, if it providing a list to the people that are running those individual fundraising projects or leading them, providing them with data to be able to go in and, okay, hey, I want to make a phone call, or I do want to send them a text message, or another email follow up that's more personalized. Sure, obviously you want to give them the ability to do that, but I wanted to take the liberty to just share that too. That is something that we have always long thought since we started the business. That is one of the most important things you can do is stewardship. And I think that's why when people are running their second, third, and fourth campaigns, no matter what type of campaign it is, you're finding more and more of those donors are coming back for the second, third, and fourth time because they went through a very, like you said, a respectful process, right? In time.
Yeah, in the very beginning of this, Tony, asked me,
Oop, Johnny, I think we lost you one more time.
no one, got me again?
No, we
Am I
lost you.
back?
There you go. Now you're back.
Okay, sorry.
No worries.
In the very beginning of this, Sean, you asked why I considered launching a giving day, and the two things that are most compelling is because it's a great chance to try to raise a significant amount of money in a very short amount of time. But it's also a fantastic opportunity to build a pipeline and acquire new donors. So what you just said is so true. The donor experience, especially if it's the first time they've given to your institution,
Yeah.
it's got to be an easy transaction, easy process to make the gift, a nice, polite, a timely thank you, and then some personal outreach follow-up. For instance, um, you will get a couple of donors who make a significant gift. That significant gift may be $1,000 or it could be $10,000.
Yeah.
So just a general thank you to that person might not be warranted. That might require a gift officer picking up the phone and making an appointment to say, hey, I saw you made a really generous gift to Giving Tuesday. Can we meet and talk? Because we were grateful for that. So
Sure.
it's a pipeline opportunity that will continue to build it if you stored them well.
So true. So true. That's what you're in it for, right? Get them through the
Yep.
moves management process. First time donor, annual
Yep.
donor, major gift. plan,
Yep,
getting all the way up the pyramid.
exactly.
No doubt. No, I love it. Love it. Well, good. Well, we've got about 10 minutes left. By the way, this has flown by as we thought it would. Uh, I'd love to open it up to Q&A from the audience. So, any questions for those of you that have stuck around and listened to us here for the last 50 minutes or so? Love to to answer any of your questions. All right, Paul.
Sean, can you hear me?
I can. Paul, how are you, man?
Hey, buddy, good to see you. Long time.
Long time listener, not a first time caller. Paul,
No,
Paul
we talked quite.
Cantrell, good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, the one man band.
One
Love
man
that. Love
band,
that.
Coastal Bend College, right?
Yeah, you were speaking to my heart.
There you go.
So, you know me, I've got a whole bunch of questions. Um, so, you talked about when you were talking about, and John, thanks for the presentation. Sean, thanks
Oh,
so much for
for sure.
doing this.
You're welcome.
Fantastic stuff.
Our pleasure.
When you were talking about the marketing, obviously you mentioned social media, you mentioned text messaging, and you mentioned email. Um, of those three, John, did you have one that was more successful than the others?
And Paul, I'll include, we also do direct mail marketing, right? So we have the good fortune of having the resources to do all of those multi-channel approaches. And I think they're all incredibly important. Um, but the email and texting uh, probably would be, in my opinion, number one and two. Um, with always having a link for them to make that gift, to click open the project and to make that gift. So, um, but it changes. It's definitely going more and more digital, but our direct mailing is still an important component of our annual giving process.
All right. Thank you. Can I follow up?
Sure,
Go ahead.
absolutely. Fire away. You got the
All
floor.
right. So Sean, quick question back on you on the tech side of this thing.
Sure.
You were talking about the automated stewardship. Are you including that now into your athletic campaigns?
Yeah. So
Oh, that's
peer-to-peer,
cool.
yeah, peer-to-peer events, giving day module, um, future products that we'll be rolling out here in the next handful of months.
Awesome.
Yeah, stewardship's been since day one. In fact, you can thank Randy, our head of product. That was that was his number one, is we're not going to put it on anybody else to have a poor experience because we didn't take the opportunity to build into our technology and automate it, and then you fill in the blank. Thank you, receipt, follow up, engagement type
Awesome.
opportunity. So
Awesome. Last piece. How different is this setup, so to speak, than the product that we're most used to that we do with the athletic stuff, and especially then that kind of
yeah.
coincides then with the video component? And did what kind of video was John putting together with his product? And I'm quiet and gone.
Sure. Yeah, you're good. You're all good. I'll make it brief, and then John, I'll let you talk a little bit about, kind of the look and feel of your campaigns. And
Yeah.
um, so, Paul, for people that have worked with us for a long time or are used to working with us in terms of peer-to-peer, it's really not that much different. Um, the difference is the workflow that is associated with it. In terms of the technology, what you see is going to resemble the institution, right? Branding, um, what's important for them to know. Um, the necessary components in a peer-to-peer campaign aren't all that different from the necessary components that are in part of a giving day. Giving day, it's why are you doing it? Who benefits or what's in it for them, right? How are the funds going to be applied? When, timing, right? Time-bound aspects to it, like we talked about in terms of urgency, scoreboards, leaderboards, those types of things. I would just say this giving day module, there is a workflow, like John mentioned, that you're going to have to start much earlier, right? Peer-to-peer campaign, you can spin one of those up in a handful of minutes, typically identifying a handful of needs, and here's what the positive activities are that are going to support, uh, you know, the program that one individual project. When you encompass 200 fundraising projects or initiatives on a campus like at University of Delaware, um, organizing that in a manner, technically, like I said, on our end, pretty simple. Um, but there's just more workflow that goes into it, right? That's 200 projects that you've got to create the right messaging for. You got to find the right people to lead it, like John talked about. So it does take a little bit more time. Again, we look at this really as 8 bite-size chunks, right? Or steps in this workflow. Like Randy said when we were building this, how do you eat the whale? One bite at a time, right? Don't try to, and John mentioned it earlier too, common pitfall or mistake to avoid. Don't try to do too much, right?
Yeah.
So we have a tried and true 8-step process, follow it to the end, and then great, we'll see how it nets out.
Yeah. Yep. You got me, Sean? Am I?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Video
Okay,
wise,
good.
I know Paul was asking about just, hey,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
the video component? How often do you change it based upon where you're
Yeah.
at in the day? Or
Paul, first of all, thanks for all the questions, and I hope that some other people step in as well and ask some questions because this is time that we want to make sure is adding value, bringing you guys some ideas. Um, what's interesting to me is in my role, I get to see, I have seen several different crowdfunding platforms, right, and over the last several years, and they all kind of look at each other and they're all kind of trying to add similar features. So more and more they do tend to start looking and feeling similar, but there are still clear differentiating components to it. And I know that the Giving Day platform that Sean and Randy have built has some unique ones. The automation and the workflow are probably the ones that I am most envious of because something I would love to get my hands on. However, the form and function that you're used to with your general crowdfunding for an individual team or a handful of teams, it's very similar. However, the new Giving Day module will incorporate things like the challenges and the matches and just the full power of executing multiple campaigns at the same time.
yeah,
So and yeah, like most platforms that I've seen have a video component that your individual projects can plug in. So let me add one more thing before I forget about this too, Sean. I want to make sure everybody hears this message. So if you're doing a giving day, and we kind of define that as a 24-hour period where you're trying to get everybody on board to give during that 24-hour period. Um, I just want to give you guys a little bit like we actually promote that one individual day as the day to give. However, we do open up our platform about 2 days earlier to give everybody a sneak peek. And we do get some early gifts, right? There's always a handful of people who are like, I just want to make my gift and move on with the week. There's the majority of it will come on that giving day. Let's say it's a Wednesday. And there's a timer that says, only 6 hours left to make your gift. However, at midnight, we then extend it to the following Friday. So there's maybe a 5-day window where you're capturing gifts. And the reason is you just never know. Like a donor might have a emergency uh, root canal on your giving day and they didn't get to make the gift. So you leave it open and you give them an email on Thursday or Friday. Hey, in case you didn't get an opportunity to give, we're leaving it open until 5 o'clock on Friday. So you're capturing as much as you can, even though the majority of it will still be on that one day. So I wanted to say that earlier, and I'm glad I got a chance to throw it in there.
absolutely not. It's a great one. Look, I think that's part of what, and I said I wasn't going to do this during this, but I figure while we still have a few people on, I'll pop this in there. But I think that's part of what, why we're excited. John just talked about the countdown and things like that, but being able to build a module that allows you to create the message, to share it, to get the video, the challenges, the matches, all the necessary, we'll call it core components, right, of a giving day. And being able to get that into one spot, all your projects, social media, all of the things that you need to in one place. Yeah, being able to share it easily, being able to allow donors that whether you decide to open it up a couple days in advance, whatever that may be, you want to make, again, if you can, as we talk about closing everything up here and wrapping up today's live event, it's making sure that you've got get the key stakeholders on your campus. Again, you don't need to run 30 projects in your first year. Maybe it's just general education and activities or athletics or however
Yeah.
you split that up. It could be a couple different projects just to get your feet wet in year one. Find the right tool, the tool to help you get it done. Again, whether you use eTeam Sponsor or not, we just recommend, hey, invest in a tool, use it, see if it gives you the meets your expectations in terms of what you're looking for from the technology. And then lastly, like John mentioned, I think just communication, communication, communication. That's going to win the day. If you do a great job of communicating internally first, and then get on the same page in terms of what that message needs to be to meet your not just branding requirements, but really matches the institution's uh, whether it's their mission or what it is that you guys want to make sure you communicate effectively. I think those are, three absolute must-dos, hallmarks of a great giving day. So, John, anything to add before we sign off, man?
No, first of all, I'm just grateful to be on, to be able to talk to you guys and share some insights that we've learned over the last couple of years. I would just encourage everybody, yes, it sounds a little intimidating or daunting if you've never done one. Start small, just make take that step, right? You won't regret it. Um, and you're going to learn a lot. So even if you just start small, like Sean just kind of suggested, like, look, if it's going to be difficult to build your support on campus because there's another unit that doesn't want to get involved, like then start with your sports teams, right? Do a giving day just for your athletic teams and show them the results by executing well using a platform that's really going to blow it up, and then you'll be able to start in kind of converting people on campus if they're a little reluctant to join you. And that's
Proof.
what happened with us. Like each year it just kept getting bigger and bigger because people had the fear of missing out. Like, oh my gosh, I want to raise money. I got to jump on board.
Yep, proof of concept so important, right?
Yep.
It gets
Yep.
people to know, it gets them off of the stuck on
Yeah.
start too. So no, I think it's great. John, really appreciate it. Awesome having you on. Just a reminder for everybody else that's still on, we'll let you go here, but you've got, where is it? Point that way. There it is, right there. My the QR code there, you can scan that. That'll take you to our Giving Day module landing page on our website. Happy to book a strategy call with you and your team. Again, if you don't have a team, it's just you. That's fine too. That'll be fun. But we'd love to go through a discovery and exploratory process with you, see if we can align ourselves to help you in that regard. For those of you that haven't been a part of case events in the past, Council for Advancement in Schools and Education. We're a team sponsor as a partner with Case. We'll be a part of their product showcase, which is next week. So it's next Tuesday, the 21st. You'll be able to see us doing a live demo of the platform. I just gave you a sneak peek of there a few minutes ago. And we're also going to be giving away a Giving Day module license, so 1 year license for free for Case members. So if you're not a member of Case, get in. It's free. Get on there. Do it for sure. And then if you attended today, we're going to include you in that as well, in that drawing. So looking forward to giving that away. We definitely want to not just lower the barrier. I want to eliminate the barrier for somebody to launch a Giving Day. If financially we can remove that and just get them on the platform and start using it. We're looking forward to doing that. So again, Sean Connors, co-founder and CEO with eTeam Sponsor. Appreciate everybody hopping on. John Hornby, you're the man. Thank you so much for popping on, my friend, and I'll look forward to doing this with you.